8 women have now come forward to accuse Oscar winner Morgan Freeman of harassment and inappropriate behavior.
Don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them, all lies will be exposed. That's all. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024.
Rumor has it that Katt Williams really stirred the pot with his recent chatter about Hollywood A-listers' sketchy lifestyle. Earlier this year, during his interview, Katt Williams revealed that karma is about to knock on Diddy's and other elite stores.
It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them, all lies will be exposed. That's all.
Well, it seems he was right, and another A-lister seems to be on the brink of exposure. So, what exactly is going on? We're familiar with Morgan Freeman as a talented actor, but it appears he has a lot of secrets he's been keeping. From facing accusations of SA to allegedly having inappropriate relations with his step-granddaughter, it seems there's a lot more to him than meets the eye. For context, an attorney for the man who allegedly unalived Morgan Freeman's step-granddaughter, Idina Hines, reportedly claimed in court that Hines told her suspected K-er she and Freeman had an inappropriate. On July 3, 2015, about 6 weeks before she was slaughtered outside her apartment building in Washington Heights, Hines texted Davenport to tell him that she was having issues with an older man. "I don't ask him for advice," Hines wrote. "He was calling to ask me. I blocked him for myself, not for you, because men who equal grandpa feelings don't need to be in my life at all." The message was sent in the context of a broader conversation about Davenport and Hines' troubled relationship. During the exchange, the pair talked about Hines' grandpa, with Davenport writing to his girlfriend that, when it comes to your grandfather, there's a submissive love that will always be there. It is not clear at this point why the defense chose to disclose this information in open court, or how it might be relevant to case. But a therapist testified that Davenport admitted to frequent arguments with Hines about infidelity, during which each accused the other of being unfaithful. Idina Hines was the biological daughter of Dina Adair, whom Freeman adopted with his first wife. They were not related by blood. Freeman and his second wife, Myrna, later raised Idina as their own. Rumors about Freeman and Hines have been swirling for nearly a decade, beginning in 2009 when the National Enquirer published a story alleging that the Hollywood A-lister was involved in a years-long affair with his step-granddaughter. The magazine also quoted a friend of hers saying she wanted to marry the actor. 3 years before Hines' violent death, it was reported that Freeman was planning to marry her, but they both vehemently denied being romantically involved. The recent reports of any pending marriage or romantic relationship of me to anyone are defamatory fabrications from the tabloid media designed to sell papers, Freeman said in a statement in 2012. What is even more alarming is that these fabrications are now being picked up by the legitimate press as well. Hines, then age 27, said, "These stories about me and my grandfather are not only untrue, they are also hurtful to me and my family." Morgan was married to Hines' grandmother, Jeanette Adair Bradshaw, from 1967 until 1979. He then married costume designer Myrna Colley Lee on June 16, 1984, and the two later adopted his step-granddaughter Idina and raised her together. The couple finally divorced in 2010 after a messy breakup. Hines was stabbed 25 times in the street in Washington Heights, New York, on August 16, 2015, at 2:50 a.m. During the court proceedings, Davenport's attorneys argued he was not guilty of the violent crime by reason of insanity because he was in the throes of a PCP-induced psychosis at the time of the attack. Hines and Davenport, a rapper, had been living together in a $780,000 apartment that Freeman had for Hines. Anyway, in addition to this, Freeman has also been previously accused of SA. According to CNN, several women made claims that Freeman subjected them to inappropriate remarks about their bodies. These women alleged that he harassed them on the set of his films, at his production company Revelations Entertainment, and at press junkets. A young production assistant thought she had landed the job of her dreams when, in the summer of 2015, she started work on Going in Style, a bank heist comedy starring Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin. But the job quickly devolved into several months of harassment, she told CNN. She alleges that Freeman subjected her to unwanted touching and comments about her figure and clothing on a near-daily basis. Freeman would rest his hand on her lower back or rub her lower back, she said. In one incident, she said, "Freeman kept trying to lift up my skirt and asking if I was wearing underwear. He never successfully lifted her skirt," she said. "He would touch it and try to lift it. She would move away and then he'd try again. Eventually," she said, "Alan Arkin made a comment telling him to stop. Morgan got freaked out and didn't know what to say." Freeman's alleged inappropriate behavior was not limited to that one movie set, according to other sources who spoke to CNN. A woman who was a senior member of the production staff of the movie Now You See Me in 2012 told CNN that Freeman SA'd her and her female assistant on numerous occasions by making comments about their bodies. He did comment on our bodies. We knew that if he was coming by, not to wear any top that would show not to wear anything that would show our bottoms, meaning not wearing clothes that were fitted, she said. At 80 years old, Freeman is one of Hollywood's biggest stars, with a movie career that spans nearly 5 decades. His starring roles in movies like Driving Miss Daisy and Shawshank Redemption in the late 1980s and early 1990s made him a household name. He won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for 2004's $1 Million Baby and has earned 4 other Oscar nominations. His voiceover work has also become iconic, including his narration for the Academy Award-winning documentaries The Long Way Home and March of the Penguins. In all, 16 people spoke to CNN about Freeman as part of this investigation, 8 of whom said they were victims of what some called harassment and others called inappropriate behavior by Freeman. 8 said they witnessed Freeman's alleged conduct. These 16 people together described a pattern of inappropriate behavior by Freeman on set, while promoting his movies and at his production company Revelations Entertainment. Of those 16, 7 people described an environment at Revelations Entertainment that included allegations of harassment or inappropriate behavior by Freeman there, with one incident allegedly witnessed by Lori McCreary, Freeman's co-founder in the enterprise, and another in which she was the target of demeaning comments by Freeman in a public setting. One of those 7 people alleged that McCreary made a discriminatory remark regarding a female candidate for a job at the Producers Guild of America, where McCreary is co-president. 4 people who worked in production capacities on movie sets with Freeman over the last 10 years described him as repeatedly behaving in ways that made women feel uncomfortable at work. 2, including the production assistant on Going in Style, whose skirt he allegedly attempted to lift, said Freeman subjected them to unwanted touching. 3 said he made public comments about women's clothing or bodies, but each of them said they didn't report Freeman's behavior, with most saying it was because they feared for their jobs. Instead, some of the women, both on movie sets and at Revelations, said they came up with ways to combat the alleged harassment on their own, such as by changing the way they dressed when they knew he would be around. Several other times during this investigation, when a CNN reporter contacted a person who had worked with Freeman to try to ask them if they had seen or been subjected to inappropriate behavior by an actor they had worked with, not initially even naming the actor they were asking about, the person would immediately tell them they knew exactly who the reporter had in mind: Morgan Freeman. In any case, fans are starting to see a common trend among top Hollywood stars like Morgan, who are finally being revealed for their bad behavior after many years. Similarly, Bill Cosby and Diddy have been accused of doing similar things as Morgan. You see, Diddy has been on the receiving end of numerous lawsuits for a few months now. Most recently, in a complaint filed on February 26th in federal court in New York, Rodney Jones Jr., also known as Lil Rod, claims that the influential music mogul, known as Diddy, forced him into intimate activities with S-workers and repeatedly touched his genitals without consent. Jones describes a world controlled by Combs, where money and power dominate, stating that he was possibly and SA'd, humiliated in rituals, and cheated out of more than $50,000 for his work on the Love record released on September 15, 2023. The arresting 70-page suit from Jones goes on to say that the 54-year-old Combs sought to get him into accepting a relationship, which is a normal practice in the music industry. Jones, with attorney Tyrone Blackburn by his side, asserts that there's a RICO enterprise in place that consistently neglected to properly oversee or caution Sean Combs. This conspiracy involves some of the most influential figures in the music industry. Universal Music Group CEO Sir Lucian Grange and former Motown CEO Ethiopia Habtemariam are also accused, alongside Diddy, his chief assistant Christina Coram, and his 30-year-old son Justin. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones witnessed, experienced, and endured many things that went far beyond his role as a producer on the Love album, the heavily photo-illustrated suit said. Noting that Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to record him constantly, the filing asserts that Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio records of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in serious illegal activity. For context, RICO cases go after organized crime groups, and it sounds like Diddy's accuser is saying that's exactly what Diddy's empire is. According to Jones, Diddy and his crew kept him in check through threats, blocking him from the music scene and not paying him for the album work. Furthermore, Jones asserts that Diddy brought S-workers to his residence in Miami. On one occasion, Jones claims he was present and was potentially and essayed. Additionally, Jones alleges that at various gatherings, Diddy deliberately served women his tequila and vodka brands spiked with substances. The allegations extend to more disturbing claims, including the presence of very young ladies at Diddy's home, where was provided to them. Jones alleges that Diddy instructed Stevie J and his son Justin Combs to recruit S workers. In Justin's case, he was allegedly told to find the young girls to attend the parties. There are also allegations of a shooting where Jones says Diddy and Justin got into a heated argument at an LA recording studio. Jones says gunfire erupted and a man named G was hit and bleeding profusely from his stomach. Jones says Diddy told him to lie to cops and say G was shot in a drive-by. It's worth noting, LAPD investigated the shooting and reportedly found the victim had been shot outside the studio during a and merely ran into the studio while still bleeding. Asked to address said illegal activity and the accusations in this most recent essay allegation against Combs, attorney Sean Hawley said in a widely distributed statement that Lil Rod is nothing more than a liar who filed a $30 million lawsuit, shamelessly looking for an undeserved payday. His reckless name-dropping about events that are pure fiction and simply did not happen is nothing more than a transparent attempt to garner headlines. The Kinsella Hawley Iser Kump Stein Sapir LLP partner added, "We have overwhelming, indisputable proof that his claims are complete lies. We will address these outlandish allegations in court and take all appropriate action against those who make them." Following this lawsuit, Homeland Security investigations conducted raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami on March 25th. Anyway, as for Bill Cosby, he used to be one of the most beloved figures in American television and pop culture. He began his career in the 1960s in San Francisco as a stand-up comic. Throughout the decade, he released several stand-up comedy records, winning him consecutive Grammy Awards for Best Comedy Album from 1965 to 1970. While essay allegations against Bill Cosby first entered widespread public consciousness in 2014, the earliest known accusations were made as far back as the 1980s. Cosby faced his first legal battle in 2004 when Andrea Constant alleged that he had and essayed her in his Pennsylvania house in 2000. After Pennsylvania's district attorney said that there would be no charges due to insufficient credible and admissible evidence, Constant filed a civil suit in 2005. Cosby faced accusations from 60 women regarding SA, but his conviction pertained to the A of Andrea Constant. The possibility remains that another prosecutor could pursue a case involving one of the other 59 accusers. Unless the unlikely scenario of intervention by the U.S. Supreme Court occurs, Justice Wecht's stance is poised to be the conclusive judgment on Cosby's conviction for a Constant. The conviction is now nullified and likely to remain so.
What was Mr. Cosby's reaction?
Relief. 52 hours of having 12 perfect strangers deliberate on your fate has to be a strain that, like,
Andrea Constant, a former professional basketball player, developed a personal connection with Cosby while she served as the director of Temple University's women's basketball program. Cosby extended invitations to her, welcomed her family to his stand-up performances, and expressed a desire to assist Constant in pursuing a career in sports broadcasting. As highlighted in a 2018 report by PR Lockhart for Vox, Constant made allegations in 2004, asserting that Cosby had D&M her during an incident at his residence. These accusations led to a civil lawsuit in 2005 and ultimately resulted in a criminal trial in 2017. According to the legal complaints, during a visit to Cosby's residence in 2004, Cosby persuaded Constant to ingest 3 pills purportedly containing a sedative. However, Cosby denied that he D-hurl. Subsequently, Constant experienced weakness, an inability to move or speak, and lapses in consciousness. While Constant was incapacitated and unable to verbally refuse or physically resist, Cosby allegedly touched her and inserted his fingers into her vagina. Additionally, Cosby purportedly utilized Constant's hand to M himself. These details are central to the allegations made against Cosby in the legal proceedings. This incident aligned with a recurring pattern. During the criminal trial where Cosby was found guilty of a Constant, 5 additional women testified that Cosby had SA them. In many of these cases, Cosby allegedly offered mentorship or implied assistance with their careers.
How can a district attorney enforce a decision on a backroom handshake? how can you give any credibility to that?
It's noteworthy that prosecutors did not bring charges against Cosby until 2015, more than a decade after the A on Constant. A contributing factor was that Constant did not come forward with her allegations against Cosby until 2005, approximately a year after the A occurred. An even more pivotal factor was Castor, the district attorney, expressing doubt that he could secure a conviction if charges were brought against Cosby in 2005. After a month-long investigation into Constant's allegations against Cosby, Castor decided not to bring charges. Yet, according to Wecht's majority opinion, Castor still contemplated an alternative course of action that could place Constant on a path to some form of justice. That path: civil court. Under the Fifth Amendment, no one may be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. But if a potential criminal defendant is given immunity from prosecution, they may be compelled to testify against themselves in a civil trial. So, as Castor later explained, he decided that Mr. Cosby would not be prosecuted no matter what, thinking Constant would have a better shot at justice in civil court, with the threat of prosecution removed that then made it so that Cosby could not take the Fifth Amendment ever as a matter of law. But Castor never reached a formal immunity agreement with Cosby, and Pennsylvania law typically requires a district attorney to request an immunity order from any judge of a designated court before such an agreement is finalized. Instead of pursuing charges, Castor issued a press release in February 2005, stating that the district attorney finds insufficient credible and admissible evidence exists upon which any charge against Mr. Cosby could be sustained beyond a reasonable doubt. The release argued that securing a conviction under the circumstances would be unattainable. Shortly thereafter, Constant initiated a civil lawsuit against Cosby, ultimately settling for $3.38 million. Notably, during the year and a half of litigation, no formal immunity agreement was reached between Cosby and Castor. Throughout this legal process, Cosby underwent 4 depositions, providing testimony about his interactions with Constant. In these depositions, he admitted to having given quaaludes, a sedative D, to women with whom he desired to engage in S activities. According to Wecht, Cosby's legal team believed that the district attorney's decision had legally stripped Cosby of any right or ability to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Surprisingly, during the 4 depositions, Cosby neither invoked the Fifth Amendment nor mentioned it at any point. Castor resigned as district attorney in 2008 after being elected to another office. Notably, he is a prominent Pennsylvania Republican and briefly served as the state's acting attorney general in 2016. He later represented then-President Donald Trump at his second impeachment trial. Following Castor's departure, Risa Vetri-Furman, his successor, chose to reopen the Cosby investigation in 2015.
Well, I mean, anybody who's involved in law enforcement, and I was for decades, you get a gut instinct about whether somebody is bad or...
Furman's decision to revisit the case was influenced significantly by a federal judge's unsealing of Cosby's depositions, indicating that she may have based her choice on information Cosby disclosed during the civil trial. Additionally, as highlighted in a partial dissent by Justice Kevin Dougherty, Furman's office utilized evidence from the civil case regarding Cosby's use of D to facilitate his SE in prosecuting him during the criminal trial. This sets the stage for the legal rationale behind the eventual overturning of Cosby's conviction by the state Supreme Court. To grasp Wecht's perspective, it's beneficial to delve into some fundamental principles of contract law. Typically, for 2 parties to be legally bound by a contract, certain elements must be met. One party must extend an offer and the other must accept it. Additionally, there must be consideration, indicating that each party agrees to give up something to the other. However, a legal doctrine called promissory estoppel may, in certain circumstances, waive these requirements. This occurs when one party makes a promise to another, and the second party relies on that promise to their detriment. The difficulties for him kept increasing. In 2022, Bill Cosby found himself back in the courtroom, facing renewed legal scrutiny over allegations of SA. This followed his release from prison nearly a year prior, as his previous criminal conviction had been overturned in a separate case. The disgraced comedian and actor was slated to undergo a civil trial, prompted by accusations from California resident Judy Huth. She claimed Cosby SA her at the Playboy Mansion during her teenage teenage years in the mid-1970s.
She and her client met with detectives today for an hour and a half discussing claims against Cosby, and the LAPD confirms they have now opened an investigation.
The allegations, which initially surfaced in 2014, predating the #Me Too movement, finally reached the trial phase. Various obstacles, including challenges related to the statute of limitations for reporting and shifts in Huth's recollection of the alleged incident's timing, had contributed to delays in bringing the case to court. Judy Huth's case marks one of the final remaining civil lawsuits confronting the once-admired Cosby Show star, who previously settled multi-million-dollar cases with at least 8 women. Bill Cosby, now 84, has declared his decision not to attend the latest civil proceedings, scheduled to take place in Santa Monica.
Judith Huth is the latest alleged victim of Bill Cosby to speak out publicly through her attorney, Gloria Allred.
The courtroom proceedings did not open to cameras, preventing the majority of the trial from being streamed or televised. However, Judge Craig D. Carlin considered allowing the filming of closing statements. Huth, residing in Riverside County, asserted that she met Cosby around 1975 while he was filming a movie in San Marino. According to Huth, Cosby invited her and a friend to a tennis club, provided them with drinks, and later took them to the Playboy Mansion, instructing them to claim they were 19 if questioned. Huth recounted that after using the bathroom, she found Cosby sitting on the bed. Allegedly, he attempted to put his hand down her pants, grabbing her hand and coercing her into performing a S-act on him. Cosby, maintaining his innocence in this case, has consistently denied allegations from approximately 60 women who have accused him of R, SA, and various other crimes.
Huth met with 2 LAPD detectives today, and the LAPD says they have now opened an investigation into her claims.
Initially, Huth claimed the A occurred in 1974 when she was 15. However, she later revised her account, stating that it happened in 1975. In 2015, when Bill Cosby faced arrest for alleged S crimes, the progression of Judy Huth's and other civil cases was halted. Shortly after Huth filed her lawsuit, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office opted not to press charges against Cosby, citing the statute of limitations. However, in 2019, a new California law was enacted, extending the time frame for victims of childhood SA to file lawsuits. This legislative change was prompted by widely publicized allegations of A involving Catholic priests and Larry Nassar, a former U.S. Olympics gymnastics team doctor. After Huth, 5 more women, including Lily Bernard and Eden Turrell from The Cosby Show, collectively filed a civil lawsuit in New York, asserting that Bill Cosby SA or A them. Notably, this legal action was taken during a 1-year look-back window designed to accommodate SA complaints that might have otherwise surpassed statutory limitations. The complainants, Lily Bernard, Eden Turrell, Sindra Ladd, Jewel Gittins, and Jennifer Thompson, alleged that Cosby either R them or coerced them into S acts. 4 of these incidents reportedly occurred in the late 1980s or 1990s, coinciding with the time when The Cosby Show was airing on NBC. The lawsuit took an expansive approach by naming NBC, Kaufman Astoria Studios, and the Carsey-Werner Company as defendants. The complaint contends that these entities facilitated the SA of women by neglecting to curb Cosby's influence and proclivities, failing to safeguard the women from being alone with him, and profiting from his work. According to Jordan Rutsky, a lawyer representing the plaintiffs, it was well known within the industry that Bill Cosby would routinely bring young women into his dressing room. Shockingly, there were instances where staff members allegedly witnessed this behavior and even encouraged the victims to comply. The 5th allegation involves Sindra Ladd, a former Hollywood executive, who accused Cosby of SAing her in 1969 when she was 21. Ladd claimed that Cosby D and A her during this incident. In response to the allegations, Cosby's spokesperson maintains his innocence, stating, "Mr. Cosby continues to vehemently deny all allegations waged against him and looks forward to defending himself in court." The legal proceedings shed more light on these serious accusations and the alleged complicity of the named entities in enabling Cosby's purported misconduct. However, he still managed to release a statement after his release. Taking to Twitter after his SA conviction was overturned, Cosby wrote, "I have never changed my stance nor my story. I have always maintained my innocence. Thank you to all my fans, supporters, and friends who stood by me through this ordeal. Special special thanks to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court for upholding the rules of law. During a news conference, his lawyer Jennifer Bonjean said, "We are thrilled to have Mr. Cosby home. He served 3 years of an unjust sentence, and he did it with dignity and principle." However, Cosby's release proved to be a shocking decision, leading many in the entertainment and media industry to react and express their surprise and anger. In a statement obtained by the Associated Press, Constant and her lawyers called the ruling disappointing and expressed fear that it could discourage SA victims from coming forward. In any case, while Morgan Freeman hasn't faced any formal charges regarding the allegations against him, some fans remain convinced that, like Diddy and Cosby, he will eventually have to answer for his actions. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.